Hey, my name is Megan. I'm talking today about progress versus perfection and enjoying the process. When I just got back from a weightlifting meet, I actually changed sports about a year ago. I changed from being a pretty high-level kettlebell sport athlete to Olympic weightlifting. And my coach, quickly after changing sports, realized that I was going to be turning 35 in 2019. So I was brand new to the sport. I couldn't even snatch, barely snatch the barbell alone empty, a little over a year ago. And I started to sort of pick up steam and do pretty well about 6 months in. So we set the goal of seeing if I could qualify for Masters Nationals, which is basically the national meet for 35 and over athletes. And toward the end of 2018, in November, I actually was able to put up a qualifying total, which basically means that the weight that I did in my snatch plus the weight that I did in my clean and jerk reached the minimum requirement or higher for the weights for that year's qualification for Masters Nationals. So I qualified, and then I even said to my coach, I said, is it going to be worth it for me to even go? Will I even be competitive? And he said, yes, absolutely, you should go. So I went to the meet recently, and I did exactly what I wanted to do, which was I had a certain number that I wanted to snatch, and I had a certain attempt that I wanted to make of the clean and jerk, and I did both of those things. I also wanted to put up a total, which meant I had to make at least one snatch and make at least one clean and jerk. I did all those things, and I also, for my own little bit of an ego, didn't want to come in last place. And I didn't. Now, was I third? Was I first? Was I fifth? No. I was 14th out of 16 athletes. And you know what? If you look at that just on the basis of numbers, someone would say oh, that's not very good. Yeah, okay, but if you think from the context of I had changed sports just a year prior, I had gone from being a complete beginner into being able to compete on a national stage and put up at least a total that didn't put me in last. To me, I think that's pretty cool. I didn't used to be so good with situations like this. It's something that's come with becoming more mature and understanding that if you want to be successful in your life, there is always a certain amount of being willing to be a beginner at something, being willing to be terrible at something, and then learning what the actual day-to-day process is to make progress in the thing that you want to do. So I will never be perfect at these lifts. That's not actually an attainable goal. No one really ever is. It's like my acting career. You're never going to put up a perfect performance. It's going to be a little different every single time. But it doesn't actually have to be perfect. It just needs to be enough. And it needs to be committed. It needs to be focused. It needs to be energized. Those kinds of things are more important than what the end result is. So what we're looking at in as we reach toward our goals in business or life or career, those kinds of things, it's not about what the end goal is, because guess what? You get to the end goal and then your goal's gonna change. What do you do when you get the job you've always dreamed of? Or what do you do when you start the business you've always wanted to have and have all the clients that you want to have and you have the money coming in that you want to have? Where do you go from there? Instead, you hear stories about people who wake up every day so excited to do the things they do for a living. That's where our magic comes, right? When it's I know that 4 times a week I have to show up at the gym and I have to follow my program and I have to do it to the best of my ability. I have to be willing to be coachable. I have to hear what my coach has to say and be willing to take those corrections and put the physical time in. And I think sometimes we get lost or frustrated when we have a goal and it seems really lofty, but we don't know how to get there. And I'm going to say that there always is, even in things that it doesn't feel like there always is a concrete day-to-day action plan that you can put together to get there. And that may look different for different things. But like even my acting career, if I look back at the aspects of my last 10 to 15 to 18 years of my life when I had been really focusing on that, and even just if I look at the past 3 years when I focused on a new aspect of my career, I can see the steps that I took, and they're actually quantifiable. So try to focus on things that you can do today or every single day to get towards your goal, so that you can break it down into bite-sized manageable pieces that you can track and even just cross off a list. Then you'll be surprised when suddenly you're hitting benchmarks and you're reaching goals and you're reaching milestones along the way. It's also really helpful to map those out too. So like qualifying for Masters Nationals was its own goal in itself. And when I hit the qualifying total, it was really funny because I was like, oh, I did that. That was a huge goal. But wait, the next goal is actually going. And then what do I want to do there? And then now that I come back, like whenever you do a goal like that, there's always like a little bit of a mini letdown. So I did that. So then now it's time for me to make new goals and consider what's next.